Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the Unknown Comics Podcast. I'm Brandon.
Darren.
Tanner.
Chris.
And hope y'all are having a good Friday morning. We are recording this on a Friday morning instead of a Thursday evening because we went out and watched a movie last night because Darren rented a whole freaking theater.
Yay.
Yay. Brandon, before we begin, I just have to say, that was a beautiful intro.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What?
I'm just waiting for the drop on this one.
No, I'm just trying to be pleasant to you right now.
Thank you.
Because
As opposed to like a second before I went live on the podcast.
well, you know.
Oh.
The public needs to see what the public needs to see, Brandon.
That's right. I mean, I guess
And face on.
I did it.
So
Rent the theater was fun, though. It was fun to get to see most of the staff show up, and we had a few losers that like, I don't like Black Widow.
it's a free movie.
Yeah, I was like, it's a free movie. Like, you can't even complain about sitting on the front row in a free movie. No. But I thought it was a fun time. It was fun to get to hang out with everybody and see most of my staff.
Yep.
You would think the theater had never done that before, though.
I know they were.
That was just
they were so ill prepared for the whole thing. The movies.
They've known about it for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
then
I paid for it
there.
last week.
We get there and they're like, "Oh, let me go gather all your cups." And we're like, "Well, we're here when we're supposed to be here. Like this should already be done."
You told me to be here at 6:30 so you can hand out the cups. At 6:45, you finally gather the cups and tell us our event person is not ready yet.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think the movie actually started until like 7:15 or 7:20.
7:20ish or so.
Yeah.
Because somebody got up and peed because they're like, yeah, we'll still have the the previews,
And then
it just went straight into the movie.
Yeah.
So
and for those that don't know, the theater we went to, we're not going to name it, but it's one that serves you food. So we have to have our seat numbers
right
to order food so they know where to take it. And we didn't get those.
and they didn't even think about that. Like
Like-
we're like, hey, so we need to order food. How do we know where to tell them to bring it? And they're like, oh, I guess we'll just hand write it down. And I will say the movie theater because it is my favorite movie theater. And, you know, maybe they just don't do a lot of these big parties. But Synergy did overall. I love the experience of Synergy for the chairs.
There goes the name drop.
Yeah, I like Synergy. But I do feel like they needed to prepare and work a little bit more on their preparation for a 50 theater party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does Synergy not print tickets?
They do, but they didn't for this.
they
Like
do if
literally
you-
just print one ticket for every seat in that room, and so we can hand them out. That
Yeah.
would have been way easier than making us walk in their office.
Well, I don't think they knew what theater we were going to be in at first because they told us 7.
Yeah,
and
they
then
told us
changed to
7, and I
9.
was like, yeah, we know what theater, and we're in 7. And they're like, oh, actually, it's 9.
That's
Oh,
fine. But when the manager brought us in to print out his little sheet so we could just cross off name, he could have printed tickets.
What they should have done is they should have had us tickets that we could just hand out in advance. Like they should
Yes.
have given me
Yeah.
tickets that I could have gone and handed out in the store, and they should have just given me coupon vouchers for the cups and the popcorn. That way, each person could just go through the concessions, grab what they need to grab, and
So I
that's
think
done.
we all went through
Yeah.
concessions anyway to get.
Because I ended
more.
up with extra cups, and I finally just had to give them away because by the time I realized people didn't show up.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing with doing the voucher system is now you're putting people into the concession line that probably weren't going to go because I know
they'll buy extra
and
stuff.
maybe while they're in the line, they're like, nah, maybe I will go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
There's an upsell right there.
Yeah.
You know? We need to write a letter.
yeah,
A strongly worded letter.
But overall, the experience was fun.
Yeah.
And it was
it was a lot of
really
fun.
cool to have our own theater.
It was cool.
And to only have 2 seats vacant was so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we were probably the only packed theater in that place.
That was not busy for a movie
They're
release.
never
night.
busy. Like,
So I think the whole movie release night thing has kind of lost its magic as it went from a real midnight release and that was like a whole event to go to, but the earlier in the night it got, the less.
well, and the first
people
showing of
showed
that
up.
movie was 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so,
Yeah, so
we
probably
were
was more
already
packed at
on
5 o'clock.
We were already on the second full showing of the movie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but overall, it was fun. I can't wait to do it again. I don't know if we're going to be able to do Suicide Squad depending on the release date because of being out of town. But if we are, we're going to do it again for Suicide Squad.
She is next month as well.
Chi is now September.
Oh, September. It's the first week of September.
So, which, again, I think we're out of town.
Yeah.
I think that's Boston. Boston.
All right. Well, we've got some more discussion. We'll talk about Black Widow later at the end of the episode, so it'll be a spoiler-filled talk. But we'll save that for last so people can drop out. And then we also our discussion topic is related to movie theaters and the movie experience. So stick around for that. So Darren, CGC.
Yeah, I mean, two big things coming out of CGC yesterday. Both kind of are conflicting ideas in my mind. Every business wants to do more business. Every business, is looking for, well, it's really three things. Because one, there was the news that broke that they're being bought out.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They're going to only keep a minority share of their own company, and they're selling to Blackwater or something like that.
Some investment company.
BlackRock.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Sounds like something that Nixon got involved in the 70s.
It's got scandal written all over it.
It's actually the same firm that's been buying up houses.
Well, from what I understand, they have
Like houses.
Yeah.
they are in $1 billion, like multi-billion, like I think it's something like 600 billion or something like that in investments.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's basically all they do.
Yeah, they just invest things, and I guess Jay-Z's involved in them, so I guess that's their headline investor is that particular guy. But they get bought out. They're valued at $500 million, but from this buyout. So there's that. So their immediate response is, we're doing this so we can increase our staff, increase grading times, increase this, increase that, and of course it all sounds great on paper, but the whole world needs to understand that. Okay, cool, that's done, but we're probably still a year from seeing the results of this buyout because, well, one, they already said they were hiring 70 new people, and that hasn't affected grading at all to begin with.
Well, they're building more onto their building too, right?
I think they're building a whole new building.
Yeah.
I think they're building a new building somewhere else. The second big news that came out, breaking just this week, and I almost wonder if this is a direct result of the buyout. Like the investor company said, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add grading video games, which most people don't understand.
Video game cartridges. Yeah.
Well, it's not just cartridges; it's the entire box.
Okay.
They to get a 9.8, you have to have a pristine box sealed, and then they're going to look at that box and make sure there's no defects and any of that kind of stuff in the box. But like I was telling y'all earlier, original Mario Brothers game in 9.8 was $690,000 for a video game. So it's great that they want to get into another market of grading. I mean, they just went into Pokemon and all that
It'll
stuff.
be a while because they still have to hire the staff,
Right.
to train, go through all that stuff. But yeah,
But my problem with this whole thing is I understand that you want to get into a new market. It's an older market already, so, there's no real hurry at this point. But you just announced this week that you were 116 days, business days, behind on modern blue labels and signature series. That is 6 months. You were 94 days out on fast track. So that is 4+ months out on fast track. And that's only every week. You're adding 20 days. Like last week, it was only 101 days.
Yeah.
This week, it's 116. And you're only to opening May 3rd.
and convention season's about to start.
Convention season's about to start. Well, the other thing about it is that no one is realizing by the end of when they get to by May 28th, they could literally be at 200 days past due because May 28th was the cutoff for the old CGC pricing to be submitted. So they could be at 200 days at the rate that they're going right now by the time they get to May 28th. That is insane. And the stuff that they're opening on May 28th, they still probably aren't going to get to that till mid-June.
And when in that process do they charge the customer?
Now the new pricing system, because used to, if you were looking at pre-screen, which is like you want to guarantee grade or they'll reject it and just charge you $5, they would charge you after it's been pre-screened and submitted for grading.
Okay.
Now they submit, like as soon as they open your mail, you pay for it, and then you just gave them 6 months free of money to hold on to.
Yeah.
Which is not my favorite thing to do in the world. Like, you should get paid when the job is done, not when the job is received.
Right.
Because what is your motivation to actually get my product done? And yes, we use CGC exclusively. CBCS is also really far behind too, so it's not just CGC. A lot of people have been sitting at home, bored, watching the collector market blow up in every aspect of collecting: video games, trading cards, collectible cards, comic books, all of it. All of it's gone nuts. And so everybody's submitting stuff like crazy right now. But don't start a new branch of your company until at least you're not looking at 200 days past due by the end of the month. Like, Like last week, they were at 101 days. This week, they're at 116. Every week, they've added more days.
Yeah.
So at the rate we're going to be at 200 days on stuff submitted in May. So we won't see it until the first quarter of next year. And my problem with this whole thing, you know who customers aren't going to be pissed at? CGC.
They're gonna be pissed at
Like
you.
anybody that buys this stuff from us, they're just going to scream and yell at us and open up chargebacks against every comic company in the world because their book's not back because they're not patient and don't understand the process. And it's going to be like the repercussions of
already
their
is.
the repercussions of what they're doing doesn't directly affect them. It affects me.
Yeah.
Because we're pre-selling this stuff already with a 6-month window built in because of pressing and everything else. So you're at 116 days without pressing. I haven't even looked at the pressing days because now we do our own pressing because of how long it's been taking. But we've had books in
It's probably
since
a year.
I think it is. I think Amy called last week about an order we've had in since January that had pressing January, and it still had another month.
This hasn't even been opened.
No, it had a month of pressing left.
Oh, okay.
So, but I mean, so that means it's gonna go to grading in August. So it was under the original like 40 days grading when we submitted it. By the time it comes out of pressing, it's going to be at whatever the new grading times is. So this customer won't actually see it for more than a full year.
Golly.
Because it was submitted in December. It was opened at the end of January. It's going to go to grading from pressing in August. And then it's going to have to sit there for, I would imagine, another month. It's going to be 150 days, 160 days by the time they open, but they get to that package.
And you can't see anything on these things until they get to grading.
You until they get to grading. And it's really, once it gets to grading, and not even while it's received, so we can't actually see what's on the order at all until actually it goes into grading. So it's been sitting here. We have to keep looking up these orders that are now 7 months old over and over and over again and going back and checking our spreadsheets because they need to update that system.
Yeah.
So you figure 160 days out by the time they get to it, that's 8 months. So we're talking it's August. So what is that? 4 months left in the year. So it's going to be April next year before he sees those books probably. April.
So does this make CBCS look more attractive?
They're behind too. Like they're not I mean, everybody's so pissed off at CGC. They've
Is
now
PGX still in business?
Well, people may start using them just to get stuff back faster for a quicker hop.
Get those 10.2s.
Right. And I just
it goes to 11.
and again, this is not all on CGC. I want to make that clear. Like the market dictates the demand. The demand says that it's there, and people have just when we toured CGC, they have pallets of stuff they're receiving all the time. Mm-hmm. But I do think if you're that far behind, cut off receiving books for a little while until you catch up.
Do something. Well, because even they're going to get caught up and they're just going to flood the market and the market's going to crash.
Well, there's no new product going out right now. Like,
I don't know. It's hard to stop because then you're saying, okay, facilitators, we want you to just hold on to this product. Well, then are you going to not charge facilitators the money that you're going to charge them for holding on to product?
Yeah, the extra $5 per book for being
week.
more than it's per month.
That's changed.
Has it really?
It was per week, I thought.
No, it was for each month that you're delayed sending it in, it's an extra $5 per book.
Yeah.
Which they've never really charged us for. I think that's more of just don't hold on to the books. Don't
in most cases, if you're holding on to it, it's because you're trying to get another signature.
Right.
That or they do it for the people that are egregiously constantly bringing stuff in late.
Right. So I'm just, man, it's rough right now because, again, I understand the demand for CGC, but they've gone up on their prices. They got rid of pre-screen. The shipping cost has gone up. Mm-hmm. We're fixing to start convention season. And, I mean, we're basically going to have to roll out and tell people in the convention season
We don't know.
I'm just going to tell you a year. Don't plan on seeing these books for a full year.
And I feel like, in a way, because you'll see people getting books, and I feel like people that submit like own accounts versus store accounts are getting stuff back faster. And I don't know if that's a CGC thing.
It could be. Well,
You know,
I don't.
maybe they pull up a facilitator there and they're like, okay, they can wait. You know, I don't know, because then if it's not a facilitator, then the customer is calling CGC directly.
Well, all I know is
You know what I
yesterday
mean?
was the
Right.
first time our CGC account has been charged in 2 months,
It's probably outrageous.
and we have thousands of books submitted.
It just means
since
when they are-
March that they haven't gotten to. So
well, and the past history tells us when CGC starts charging us, they charge us for like 3 weeks straight. And
yeah, they just charge us every
our
day for
entire
like
bank
3
account
weeks.
goes, oh,
And it's true. Like that's how it happens. Like they just
Like, oh,
they have
this
no
is dumb.
rhyme or
This is
reason how
dumb.
they
This is
charge. Yeah, it's dumb.
I don't know if they stick all of our stuff in a corner and just go through at one time or what's going on there.
So again, we exclusively use CGC. I used CBCS in the past. I'm still going to choose CGC, but I just think all of these new adventures need to hold off until you can get caught up, till you can get those employees trained,
Yeah.
till you can not be so far behind. Because, I mean, you know, these flippers out in the world are basically dying right now because they can't get their books back fast enough.
Yep.
And the general consumer doesn't like when you're like, well, we're waiting on CGC. Well, this is your fault. No, it's really not. We have nothing to do
I feel
with
like
wait times.
they need like a, you know, they have one over in London now. I
yeah.
feel like they need another location in the States, like some either central, you know, maybe here Texas.
Or West Coast.
Well, I mean, West Coast, the only state you think they would pop up in would be California, and you probably don't want to put
Texas
something there
would-
right now. I think Texas would be the best.
Texas would be the only logical choice because of the no state income tax.
Yeah.
I think that's why they're in Florida to begin with.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper to have employees when you get, and there's only so many states that don't have an income
Then
tax.
you can find a good spot here in Texas where you don't have to worry about disasters and
right.
stuff like that.
Like Amarillo. I'll tell you what, CGC, I'll sell you some land.
yeah,
You can move next to Amazon.
Yeah.
yeah, they'll give you a tax break.
There you go.
So I'm glad that they're growing. I'm glad that they're hiring more people. I think those are awesome things, but maybe not announce that you're adding a new division until, like, keep it secret until it's ready. That way, you know, give us some time to get caught up because
But you're just asking for bad publicity when you announce something like that when you're already.
well, they're getting torn to pieces
hot
on
water, yeah.
they're getting torn to pieces on social media. They're like,
Yeah,
where's my stuff?
their way. You know, it's one of those things like, oh, you're tearing us up, but all this cash flow just keeps on coming.
Well, and you can't ask a company not to make their money.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, and again, if the demand is there, but when people are submitting, they're submitting under the times that you tell them. But by the time you're receiving their books, you're adding months. And that's the problem I have.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just come out and say, we're expecting this to be 180 days? Instead of every week when we submitted stuff in April that you received in May, it's now becoming February.
yeah.
Like, just say it up front. Like, let us know the expectations up front, because obviously you have to know, because every week you're adding 2 weeks.
Well, and I think, you know, knowing next week is the first, I would say it's not a huge show, but it's a big show. Houston.
yeah, Houston
Comicpalooza.
have some signatures.
And I think, you know, there'll be some stuff going down there. There's not a ton of celebrities and creators, but
you
there
have-
are some.
You have Houston, GalaxyCon, Terrificon. You have MegaCon. You have Planet. You have
Dallas.
Dallas. You have Boston. You have Miami.
I mean, the next 6 months is going to be, I mean, there's no way.
And then
they're
you
gonna
have
be
New
able to
York.
keep
By
up
the
with
time we get to New York, what is the times going to look like from New York for signatures?
that. I know, yeah, CGC's not going to any of these shows.
Yeah, and CGC is not appearing at any shows this year.
Yeah. It's just facilitators.
Yeah, so it's going to be absolutely insane.
Bananas.
Bananas.
If anybody from CGC is watching, I mean, again, we exclusively use you guys. We're going to continue using your guys, but it is just something like I just
it's
need
a brain
y'all.
painter.
So do you know the process of the grading and why it takes so long once it gets to grading?
So
Mostly, it's just
it's just the volume of the books
Volume.
they're taking care of. They have to
So-
meticulously overlook these books.
I don't see why they don't have a convention department that shows up to the convention and will grade it right there.
They do that for 3 shows a year, but CGC is not sending any people out this year.
yeah. Well, I think they said, somebody said that
But
there'd be a torpedo
in the past, when they have showed up, they will grade it right there and encase it at the convention.
for just a
Yeah,
couple of shows.
by the end of the weekend,
Okay.
it'll be graded, and that's C2E2, Emerald City, and
But even that was stretching them because basically they're having to take like
if you didn't have your
almost
book,
half their staff to the show.
and if you didn't have your books in day 1, they weren't getting graded most likely.
Yeah, they were cutoffs.
You have day 1, and then the other 2 days is about hoping your books come back so you can be first to market on sales.
Yeah.
Because they have to cut it off. And I've had 2 shows where they were able to get into day 2 for the morning, And I had one show where they were able to take a few books on Sunday morning to finish up. But for the most part, Baltimore was the other show.
Yeah.
But that takes a lot because that's a lot of plastic you have to move.
Yeah.
Do they offer Blue Label at those, or they just
They offer blue, they offer yellow, whatever you want to take in. It's actually cheaper to grade older books. Like, because the wait time on older books a lot of times is twice as long as newer books.
Okay.
Unless you
So
pay
if we're
for
at a-
walkthrough.
Yeah, unless you pay for walkthrough, which is $150. So you're looking at older books. You're going to get them back sometime before Christmas of 2022.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we submitted some older stuff at a MegaCon a couple years ago, and we saw those books a year and a half later.
Yeah, they finally came back a year and a half later. And that's the price of grading.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about it is if you're a quick flipper, you might as well just sell the book raw. If you're a patient guy, that I already had to have the discussion with Amy this morning about all these books that we're looking at submitting. Like, I may just sell them raw with the option of grading now. Like let the customer choose, because a lot of these books, I don't know what they're going to be in 8 months.
Oh yeah, like speculation wise.
Yeah, speculation wise, a 9/8 book might be worth $1,000 right now, but the book may have lost all of its steam by the time Christmas rolls around and only be a couple $100.
Right.
Which ultimately, I mean, that's still worth grading
Correct.
if it's that much.
But it's hard to choose. We're going to have to start picking and choosing what we submit.
Yeah. We are submitting a lot. Thankfully, our CGC team is caught up right now.
Yeah, everything up until 7/7 is submitted with us, but we may not be able to see any of that stuff forever.
Yeah. We're caught up.
Yeah.
The other side of it's not caught
Yeah.
up.
But our customers will not understand that.
Now, outside of some signatures, we still have quite a few of the guys in the Asian continent. We can't do anything about until those guys get here.
Yeah, until they get here. So
Okay. Well, that was going to be our small topic.
I knew it wouldn't be.
Yeah. So, I cut for time. We're good. so we'll go ahead and move on to our main discussion. And I turned the compression way too up.
Brandon's been playing over there.
I've been playing with audio while y'all were talking. So,
I know CGC's not your thing.
I'm not a collector.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I'm just a nerd.
I'm just a paper crack salesman.
There you go. But no, it fascinates me, and I definitely am interested in your perspective in the business aspect of it, because that's a big part of your business, and
Yeah.
And it's an ever-growing part of our business.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we took on doing our own pressing. That's why to save time.
so when are we starting the Unknown Grading Company?
No. That is like, I watch people like just tear CGC because books that come with consistent flaws, and plus it would be a conflict of interest to grade our own books.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
I think it would be an ultimate, like if CGC ever started selling exclusives, like CBCS did that, and I thought it was a complete conflict of interest, that they actually were part of exclusives and all this other stuff. And if you're going to do that stuff, you have to be completely separate.
Yeah. Get your CGC exclusives graded by CBCS only.
Right.
Right.
That would be pretty funny. One of those shared programs.
Yeah.
And then once they grade it, you can then pay another $20 to have it put into the
CGC holster.
The CGC hoster.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
comics are complicated sometimes.
I think it's funny. Some of the facilitators, they call themselves certifiers, like CGC, but they're still a facilitator using CGC.
Yeah.
And I feel like CGC would be like, you got to change your name.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like CBCS did the whole, like, you could take your book up to them raw and they would put a sticker of a grade on there for you. And I thought that was the worst idea ever, because you could just switch the book out. Yeah.
They wouldn't encase it.
They wouldn't encase it. They would just grade it for you.
Just a
If you
And
put
so-
a sticker on the book, it's
general
no
idea.
longer that great.
Well, that's true.
Well,
It's on the back and board.
was the intent? It was almost like the pre-screen.
yeah.
It was like a pre-screen
They
thing.
didn't take it up there like Brandon and take it out of the bag and board. It was in the bag and board.
Sticker right on the easel. Suck it. Minus half a point.
Yeah.
So, but I am so excited. So, one of my favorite pastimes, and it has been since I was a little kid, is going to the movies.
Oh, we're transitioning now.
We are.
Yeah.
I'm tired of talking about grading books.
He wants to get into happy thoughts.
Happy thoughts that aren't going to have customers screaming and yelling at me.
Yeah.
Which somebody put 2 sad faces yesterday because we went to the movies and closed early, and I'm like, but we did something fun.
It wasn't even a local customer.
No, I don't.
Which I'm like, what does it matter? The website's still open.
And the pulling team would have already left by 6 anyway. So
Right.
the order wasn't getting processed. So
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing we did mattered to you.
Maybe
so,
they're just sad because they weren't going with us.
yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe that's what it
We
was.
did get a lot of "Are you hiring?" questions when we went to the movie, and I will tell you, to work for us, you have to work really hard to be able to do stuff like that because we don't have downtime.
And technically, we are hiring right now.
We are hiring
Locally, Amarillo. Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We need a
but
couple.
movies are back, and I don't even think Black Widow's like the first so. For years since like 2008, did he just do the hair switch?
No.
Yes,
my-
he did.
what a
He took his-
poser!
You're a poser.
I told you guys I'd seen that scene. I didn't think it was going to be such a big deal. Though. That's funny.
Especially when
she's
did
that's
it.
disgusting.
That's gonna happen every time now.
All right, before we get to Black
Yeah, we
Widow,
gotta-
let's get back to the movie discussion.
So every year, my birthday's on April 30th. So every year since like 2008, there has been a Marvel movie on the week within a week of my birthday because of Free Comic Book Day, and that's Marvel always had that opening slot
Yep.
of May. And so for years, I mean, and then COVID happened, and I lost my birthday movie, and it super was sad last year because I was just like sitting around twiddling my thumbs. And I went to movies. I went to movies I never thought I would go to just to go to the theater last year and this year.
Yep.
I mean, I watched horror movies, and I don't even watch horror movies. I went to a musical. I don't like musicals, but I agreed to go to a musical just so I could go to the movies because it's such a fun experience to go, and it's expensive, I know, but it's something that I've done my whole life. I mean, my first ever movie was Land Before Time back in the 80s.
I think you say expensive. Really, I mean, it's if that's your date,
yeah.
it's not much different.
Yeah, I mean, you spend
Especially if you go
$20
to
on movie tickets and another $30 on. I mean, you're
you go to
essentially
a theater
$50 in with concessions
Gives you food.
and alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, you can get all that at one place at most places now.
Yeah.
So and it's just, I'm so glad that they're back. I mean, we've made fun of Fast and the Furious in our group chat. We've been making fun of Dom for weeks now.
The world.
Did you see the new one that came out today where it's you open your Facebook and it's Loki looking out of the manhole, but all the other Lokis have Dom's face, and then he's like, "This is a nightmare."
That's great. So to be able to go and sit last night and have a whole theater of our own people, it reminded me of back in the days when movie theaters were full.
Yeah,
Like I haven't been to a full movie theater in a long time.
Even before COVID.
Even before COVID. And it was really cool to experience a full theater again.
Yeah.
Well, and
And
it's
minus those
something
2 seats.
to go with
I-
all your friends.
I will say I don't want to go back to a full theater with the old stadium style seating.
Oh yeah,
I never
no.
want to go back to those
full.
days.
Now, I will say the last Marvel movie, which was the full theater I've went to, that was full. Every Marvel movie I've gone to still was full,
Yeah.
unless you go like a week later or
Yeah.
whatever. They're usually still full.
But and I will tell you, like the only thing I'm really hoping for again, I don't know if this is like one of those like diamond in the rough theaters. Like for movie experience, I have to one more time when Top Gun comes out, I have to find the movie theaters with the moving chairs.
Yeah,
There's
Oh,
a movie
yeah.
theater up that I went to in
there's
Iowa.
probably one in Dallas.
It might be that I watched Bloodshot in this theater, and the chairs move with the action.
Okay.
And so, like when he's falling, the chair leans forward, like you're falling face forward.
I feel like I need a barf bag for that.
You might. I think there was a warning about it, but you got to watch the trailer to Top
Did you have
Gun.
to like buckle into it?
No.
Oh, okay. It didn't
But
go
this
that
was
far
like
for me.
this was like as I drove up to this convention, basically that was when the world was shutting down because as I turned around to come home, like each state that I left announced like full shutdown.
Yeah.
Full shutdown, full shutdown. So that was like my last real trip before all the mass stuff, before all the shutdowns, before all the cancellations of shows. And I need to find this kind of movie theater again.
It's basically like a 4D experience, right? Because I went to a theater like this when I went to Epcot when I was younger, and basically it was like that. We were watching, I think it was like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or something like that, and like there was an instance where it was like wind was blowing real hard, and you actually felt wind like
Now there
blowing
was
past your
you
legs.
didn't-
The chairs moved, and then there was even like water got sprayed at you, and the water shot out of the chair in front of you.
You can
So,
do that at Lego Adventures down in Dallas, and it's
Yeah.
not like that.
Yeah.
This was more about just the chair moved with the action,
Yeah.
and it was just so cool.
Yeah. That's cool.
So for movie experience, I mean, we should have something every weekend again from here on out for the rest of the year, hopefully. I know I was looking at theaters last week, right before all of this, and I was like, how can nobody have put out a major action flick on 4th of July weekend?
Yeah.
And like the only major action flick that came out was Tomorrow War on Amazon.
Which was good.
I would have paid to see that movie in theaters. Please put that movie in theaters. I will still go watch it again in theaters.
I feel like I like the fact that Amazon's doing simultaneous releases.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to. I mean, Netflix. I would like to see Amazon do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, why not make that money in the theaters and then make the money on Amazon Prime? I mean,
Yeah.
by the time it leaves theaters, people are going to want to rent it anyways, so they'll go to Amazon Prime to rent it. So give it to us in theaters. Come on, man. It's Chris Pratt. Let's see him in all of his glory on the theater screen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what is for y'all? I mean, do y'all enjoy the movie experience? Do y'all go very often? Is that part of y'all's lifestyle?
I don't go as much since having kids, but there was a point in my life where I went to every release every Thursday, no matter what was in theaters.
Isn't that the coolest experience?
It is. I mean, there were some trash movies that I've seen in theaters.
Yeah.
But that was what came out that week.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've seen a musical this year because it was the only thing releasing,
Yeah.
and it was terrible. Like, I can't say how bad the Heights movie was, but it was probably right up there with Mamma Mia for one of the worst musicals I've ever seen.
And people probably love it.
Probably. But even Heather didn't like it. So I was like, well, at least there's that. Either that or she didn't like it for me, one or the other.
Yeah.
So,
I was watching you struggle through it.
I'll go to the theater for like big Marvel or Star Wars releases. That's about it. And my home theater at home is pretty freaking awesome. And
well, that's because you're a sound tech guy and an
Yeah.
engineer. I mean, this is literally your job.
but I gotta pee. I pause the thing. I'm
Yeah.
off. I'm gonna, and I can.
I don't know. Some of that's part of it. You gotta plan that out.
You have to power through the pee.
If something hits you during the theater, it just causes
I
more
get it.
anxiety while you're watching.
I mean,
I don't find joy in that.
every movie should be, God, is this ever going to be over? I have to pee so bad,
Yeah.
but I can't get up because it's so
Now,
good.
see, I don't know if it's ever. I like the movies like this one, Black Widow. I mean, when you got to the end, you knew it was the end, right?
Yeah.
But you weren't waiting on it, which
Yeah.
was good.
So last year, maybe it was last year, the year before, I went and watched one movie in theaters that, like, by myself. It was called Underwater with Kristen Stewart or whatever the
yeah.
Twilight chick, right?
The alligator movie.
No,
No,
it's
it's more
basically Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Cthulhu's the bad guy. But all the dripping in the water, and that is the first movie in a long time that I've actually had to get up and go pee because I couldn't get past all of the water in the movie.
My worst experience like that was when King Arthur came out. You remember the one where it was like Roman times? King Arthur.
Is that the one with
Had Matt
Keira Knightley?
Mikkelsen.
Yeah,
Had
Keira
Keira Knightley and Clive Owen.
That thing was amazing.
I love that movie. That's a great movie.
I just watched it the
Anyway,
other day.
we went. Crystal and I went with some friends. That was 2004, so this is pre-children. And I remember I had to go. It was getting towards the end of the movie. I'm like, I can hold it. I can power through. And I remember it gets to like the last battle where Arthur's fighting, Dr. Selvig, and and I'm like, all of a sudden, like. I had been like I had to go, but I was holding it because it's the climax of the
Yeah.
movie. All of a sudden, I get like a super sharp pain.
Your kidneys like failing back.
And I'm like, oh, I gotta go. And like, so I left. I went and like, I went to pee. I almost passed out. Like I lost. Like it was like a head rush. And I'm just like standing at the urinal, just like in a daze. And like some dude's like, "Are you okay? You've been standing there for a while." I'm like. And I said something back to him. I don't know what it was. That's fine. Like I mean, to this day, I haven't had any issues like that again. But
Yeah.
I have never held like I don't hold.
That was a
When
scary
I-
moment there.
You were like in Liar Liar when he asked the judge for like, need a restroom break. He's like, it's terrible for you to actually hold it for too long. And she's like, is that true? And he's like, it has to be. I can't lie.
I think the worst for me was Transformers 5. That was the one with Grimlock and all the Dinobots. Because it was like, okay, it's almost over. Nope, it's still going. Oh my god, it's almost over. No, it's still going. It's like three movies.
Nothing.
No, that's what
nothing
you-
can be as bad as like the first Lord of the Rings movie with its 47 endings.
You mean the third?
Maybe it was the third movie. All I know
when
is
it
like
ends and you're like, it goes to black. Okay, no, okay, sit back down. It goes to black now. No, there's 5 more endings.
I know it just kept going.
He had to make sure everybody had some resolve with their own fade out.
So I know you're a movie guy, right, Chris? Because you go to the movies almost as much as I do.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, just like you said, something we've done all of our lives, and I enjoy going to watch them. I enjoy, watching them at home if I can. I always try to find something new every week. So whether it's scrolling through Amazon or Netflix for hours on end, or actually finding something on the theaters to watch. So
I don't know. It's just it was such an important part of my leisure time that was taken away last year.
Yeah.
And I think that was my hardest adjustment, because when I did have free time, I had absolutely nothing I could do. Like I was just like, well, my normal thing is to go to the movie. And my other normal thing is to eat, but I can't eat double, so
Right.
then I start gaining COVID weight. So
COVID 50.
I will say another reason we don't go to the movies, in addition to like what Tanner said with children, it just having little children makes it harder, right? Period.
start taking them, be that guy.
But then you gotta find a babysitter.
No, just start taking them, be that guy.
Oh, well, I can't take them to like Resident Evil.
Why not? I've seen a lot of parents take their
Yeah.
kids to Resident Evil.
Anyway,
We went to what was the zombie movie? Sorry.
you're fine.
And there were kids in there that were real little.
Yeah,
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
There was a kid crying the whole time.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Yeah. But the main reason, and she's not going to watch this, but Crystal has like a lot of anxiety when it comes to like watching stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
She builds a lot of anxiety. So for her to sit down and watch a movie, she has to get in the zone. Like I will kid you not. Like we'll be sitting on the couch doing nothing. Like, hey, do you want to watch a movie? No.
Yeah, Sabrina won't either.
She
anxiety things.
She'd rather watch The Office, the same episode we've seen, because she knows what happens.
Correct.
It's like
Yeah.
listening to a song, right?
That's the
our
same
kid-
way Sabrina is.
Yeah, if our kids are awake, Heather won't watch a movie either.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I'll just go clean the kitchen or something.
If we go watch a movie, she's going to say, okay, you need to tell me what happens, so I'm not emotionally distressed the entire time.
Yeah.
So
Like that's the only way she'll do it.
and for movie discussions, I think the best movie ever was after Infinity War, as everybody was going to dust, and we were in the theaters. We were on the back row because that's where I like to sit. Well, y'all were there for that, right?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah,
That was
we were
the UA. That was.
we were all there.
It was
No
a
air-
UA.
no air
conditioning
conditioning.
as usual.
Hot. Yeah, full theater.
And so Thanos snaps, and characters start disappearing.
They
I
start
just think-
dusting
and this lady over to the right of us, sitting above the stairs,
right behind me.
and
She's wailing.
she just starts like, it wasn't wailing at first, it was just weeping. She's like, the whole theater could hear her.
Yeah,
But by the time like Peter Parker had his moment where I'm scared, Tony,
yeah. He's hugging Tony.
like she just openly like just starts like
That's when the wailing
screaming,
started.
bawling like that you see in the movies where somebody says like walks up to your door, knocks on like, yeah, blah 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 was killed in a car crash in the movie, and like they just collapse and wailing and all. That was like that.
It's so funny to me. It's that instance in particular because he already had a trailer for his next movie.
Well, not only that, like I just wanted to go up and give this lady a hug, one, because I felt really bad for her because she was really distraught.
And I think I heard at the
And I
beginning of the
just-
movie, she didn't even. I think it was like the first movie she had seen of all this. Like she
And-
had no idea what was going on.
And I just
Everyone else was 13 years invested in it.
Imagine if she was that invested, she might have had a heart attack.
I just wanted to go up and give her a hug and just whisper in her ear, they all have sequels.
They all have sequels.
That's probably why they're all dead, is because
Yep.
they're all making their sequel.
Yep.
But I think that was like my number one, like most memorable moment in the movies. But my second most memorable moment in the movies was Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
So we were sitting.
Another musical.
It was my first musical in the theaters, and so it was me and my friend Schultz, who was an old roommate of mine. We both got married, and so the wives were going to go see Mamma Mia, and me and Schultz were going to go see the new Dark Knight movie. I don't remember which Dark Knight, just whatever one came out at the same time. And we get up to Hollywood, and we show up,
Hollywood Theater.
Hollywood
Not
Theater.
California.
and
Cinemark.
Schultz's wife just looks at him and goes, man, honey, it would be really good if you went and watched that movie with me. I would just really enjoy it if you'd watch the movie with me. And Schultz is like, yes, dear, I'd love to. And they all look at me. I was like, I guess I'm going to Dark Knight by myself. So I guess I'm seeing a movie by myself tonight. And Heather's like, but it would be really fun. I was like, no, I'm going to go see Batman. And she's like, what would it take? And so she hates when I eat Buffalo Wild Wings. We all regret it for the rest of the night.
It's a specific flavor.
Garlic Parmesan.
Yes.
Makes everyone regret the rest of the night being around me. And so she's like, what would it take? And I'm all like, well, if we're being honest, I'm going to need Buffalo Wild Wings. Knowing she'd let me go see Batman at this point. She's like, if that's what it takes, we're in. I'm like, shit. So we go to Buffalo Wild Wings, then we come back to the theater. We're sitting in this movie, and there's only like 10 or 15 couples in the movie. Halfway through, one dude leaves, never comes back.
The wife's still there, right?
Wife's still there. Dude leaves, doesn't come back.
He's in Batman.
He probably went to Batman.
Theater hop.
Which I think tried to happen last night during Black Widow.
Yeah, that's what Jason said.
So another dude, when Pierce Brosnan starts singing, barrels his head into his knees. They're sitting right in front of us, and his wife is sitting there rubbing his back. It's almost over, honey. It's okay.
Okay, so
But through the movie, like every man in the movie is just like in distress. Like, please let me out of this, please. Like I said, one dude left, never came back. But here's my friend Schultz. If you're on the video, he was on his edge of his seat, enjoying this movie. They set me up. Like, he never wanted to go see Batman. He wanted to see Mamma Mia the whole time. They set me up. It was the most awful experience ever.
So my favorite theater moment, Amanda and I were still just dating. We went to go see The Winter Soldier. And I think all you guys were there. Y'all might have been down the row. But, I mean, it was the night that Table's Edge went. We all went together.
Yeah, I figure.
So it gets to the point where, you know, in the fight, Bucky's mask falls off. And all the comic book nerds who know who it is, well, she goes, as she realized that Winter Soldier's is Bucky Barnes.
At every comic book.
And she was the only she was the only person in the whole theater that gasped like that.
Because the rest of us knew already.
And so I've made fun of her for that for the past 7 years. And then we go to the theater last night, and it gets to the end of the end credit scene, and we see that, and she gasped at that too. And we get in the car, and she's like, "I'm so glad I was not the only person to gasp at that."
You know what you should have done is when they unmasked Taskmaster, you should have gasped like that.
It's a girl.
I'll talk about that here in a second because I nailed that one. But there's been two instances when I think Crystal and I were dating. We weren't married yet. We went to go see
movies before then.
I know. We went to go see. What was it 13 Days? It was the whole Cuban Missile Crisis movie with Kevin Costner. It's an older movie. It was.
Not seen it.
It was a decent movie. But they were using like just language. Yeah, and my wife is super conservative. And like just GD this and GD that, and she walked out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's the protocol here? Do I need to go? I really want to watch the end of this movie. I stayed. I was like, there's not that much longer in the movie.
Yeah.
Happened a second time. Went to go see Zoolander.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Got to the threesome scene.
The orgy scene?
Yes.
It wasn't a threesome. That was a full
She was
orgy.
gone. And here we were again
You just see the little small person.
because I'm pretty sure like we had a fight after that, after the 13 days one, like she said no, stay and watch it. You say something. She was like, you stay and watch. I'll just go sit in the lobby. I'll be fine. That was not right.
Yeah.
I should have gone.
When you ever hear those words, I'm fine.
Yeah.
That's a.
So I think Zoolander might have happened after we got married. I'm trying to.
So she didn't leave before like the blanket scene where she's trying to, play the hit it gopher thing.
I don't remember a lot of that movie. I remember the gasoline fight.
That's the very beginning.
Yeah, I remember the gasoline fight. I
All of,
remember,
all of his model friends died.
yeah.
I think we should just go ahead
That's
and
how they're
just watch
trying to
Zoolander with the review
They're
thing
trying
over
to
the
show
top
you
of
how
it.
dumb all the models are.
And so she left in Zoolander, and me being an intelligent person, guess what I didn't do?
Leave?
You
I
stayed and watched that
I
movie.
finished Zoolander.
You probably still had half that movie left if that's what she left. She's just sitting out in the lobby at the movie theater.
At that point, I'm like,
And at that point in their relationship, they no longer took one car to the movie theaters.
and at that point, I was like, I paid for this. I'm digging in. They're no relation to me. They're the parents of my sister-in-law's husband. So they're really, but my daughter calls them grandma and grandpa because of cousins. But anyway, they if they don't like a movie or they're offended by something, they are the people they very rarely if they don't finish a movie, they don't pay for it. They will go talk to the manager and they will get a refund immediately.
Oh no! I watched one movie with Jason Statham, something Into the Dungeon or something like that. It was so awful from the beginning. 15 minutes in, Heather's
Dungeon Siege.
Yeah, with that.
Yeah.
Heather asked to leave 15 minutes in. I was like, no, it's got to get better. 15 more minutes. Please, can we go? No, it's going to get better. Another half hour in, she's like, how about now? I was like, I'm too invested now. I'm not leaving. We get to the end, and it was a terrible ending. It's just we should have left. I was like, we didn't, though. Because I do not walk out of movies.
Achievement unlocked.
Because there may be something that is memorable. It's one of the movies I hate most in the world is The Mist. We went and watched The Mist in theaters. And the movie was enjoyable enough but until the ending, I hate the ending of that movie so effing much. Have you seen The Mist? With Tom
Stephen
Jane?
King.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He gets, so they finally get away.
This is why he didn't do Punisher 2.
Yeah, this is why he didn't do Punisher 2, Tom Jane.
Bad life choices.
So monsters come out of this mist. If they accidentally open up through science, start killing everybody. There's this big cult thing that happens in a grocery store where they start sacrificing people. I don't know. They finally get out. They get in their car. They save the wife. No, the wife's maybe dead already. I don't remember. No, she's alive.
I've never seen it. Don't look at me.
they get in this car and they start driving towards Portland, and they drive forever.
They run out of gas.
And it's two old people, the wife and the son. And you're heavily invested because they just survived the cult thing not being sacrificed and all this other stuff. Yeah. And so they're just driving and driving and driving. And they drive for hours. They drive through the night. And so you're like, oh, holy hell. And then he runs out of gas. And he's doesn't know what to do. So he pulls out this gun that only has 4 bullets. There's 5 people in the car. 4 bullets. And he looks at them, and he looks at them, and they all just kind of agree, and he shoots all of them. Kills them all. He gets out of the car. He stands up against it like he's being arrested, essentially, waiting for the monsters to eat him. Mm-hmm. Everybody in the grocery store rolls up in National Guard and military vehicles doing maybe 10 miles an hour.
They've been saved.
Somehow, 1, they've caught up to them. 2, the army won and had killed all of the creatures.
And he killed his family
and he had just killed his family 30 seconds earlier. But I can't get past the fact that somehow the military caught up to them.
Spoiler alert. Sorry.
You've had 15 years.
Yeah, and there was a book.
And there was a book. So, and they made a TV show out of it too, I believe. They've actually done a TV show about it.
I think the TV show is a different story.
Yeah, maybe. But my last movie time scenario to share was I'd already seen Rogue One, and I took my 2 oldest children to see Rogue One. And they all start dying. And Allie, who, I don't know when Rogue One came out, but she couldn't have been maybe 8 or 9 years old when the robot dies. I don't remember names. He was the first one to go.
K2SO.
Yeah, K2SO.
I was like,
he dies, and I get punched in the arm. And I look down, and she's crying. And then every time someone dies, she's just like, Daddy, why wouldn't you tell me about this? And she's just weeping. And then when the world blows up, she is just so distraught beside herself, emotional mess all over the theater chair. And I hate this Hush.
You probably just ruined Star Wars for her for the rest of her life.
She's watched the rest of them with me, but
What's funny about that is like I always tell people, everybody dies. Spoiler alert, everybody dies. And then I was like, I can't actually say that for that movie.
because
Everybody dies.
Yep.
That was always my thing, though.
there will be no sequel.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Well, there is a
technically
prequel.
was.
The sequel was A New Hope.
Yeah,
I know,
it
but
led right into
not
it.
for them though.
Right.
Their storyline is officially over.
Yeah, I mean, Jen Erso's and
Well,
other stuff. She's
and
talked about in books.
Cassian's
and stuff.
getting his prequel
Cassian's getting his
series.
own show.
So,
I would
but-
like to see her get something.
I would too. I
Yeah.
thought she was such a stronger female lead than Ray was.
Yeah.
Easy.
Well, but everything about those last 3 episodes was forced diversity. So, but I'm excited. Movies are back. Leading into the movies.
You talk about Loki first?
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So,
And by the way, Rogue One is also my favorite Star Wars movie.
if you have not seen Loki episode 5, if you have not seen Black Widow,
Stop.
This is your official outro.
we will see you later. Come back and watch this on YouTube or listen to it on your favorite podcast app later if you're watching live, or if you are watching recorded or pause it. Lazy Gamers Ready to Talk Loki. Okay. So Loki episode 5 was the most Easter egg ridden episode.
We got the Thanos copter.
We got the Thanos
You got
captor.
Throg.
we got the Thor frog.
Yep. We
We
got,
got
You got the time traveling Sphinx.
yeah. Did we?
we got Kang Tower.
So someone had said that we had the Golden Gate Bridge from the X-Men. I have to go back and watch it again.
I mean,
It could have just been the Golden. It could have just
just
been
the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah,
The warship, apparently, if you don't know the history of this, I saw the warship that shows
yeah.
up.
I saw the story about that.
The warship, so I guess like in the 40s, they were testing on a thing that could basically make the warships where you couldn't be seen.
the Philadelphia experiment.
Yep, Philadelphia experience. So that's why they brought that in. Is basically in the 40s they said that ship
It actually disappeared.
and it could no longer be found. And so what they're saying, I guess they're using that as a way of saying, yeah, it disappeared.
That
and
one
went
was-
into the time paradox.
or that one was getting ready to get found.
Yeah.
And they had to prune it.
Yep.
The whole ship deviated, and that's just
Yeah.
a crew full of variants.
Yep.
Yeah. So we Loki wakes up in the void at the end of time is what we find out.
Yep.
And of course, yeah, he meets all the Lokis that we saw in the end credits. We've got boastful Loki, Kid Loki, classic Loki, and Loki Gator, who is the
Loki Gator.
Loki Gator's
who
the
apparently
best.
has nothing to do with comics whatsoever.
Yeah, he's completely created for the show. And
But-
I guess they're
but
calling
you also have-
Loki 2012.
They're calling who?
Loki, the Loki we're seeing, he's Loki 2012.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But you also have like President Loki and all the Loki lackeys.
Yeah.
I was
The
sad that
Loki
President
army.
Loki didn't have as much screen time. I thought he was gonna be a lot cooler from the
know
trailer.
he's dead.
He had enough.
Loki survived.
He had his Star Wars moment
Where he lost his hand.
and screamed.
Well, and everything.
Well, that was a nod to Dark World.
It was, people are saying Dark World. People are saying Star
but-
Wars.
No, but actually, Marvel's come out and said the reason why so many people have lost hands and arms in the MCU is because it's a throwback to Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like it's purposefully done why people are losing hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
His scream though was great because he's like didn't realize, and he's like,
I love how just Loki Gator can jump.
yeah.
Like no alligator ever.
You know, the kids and I were talking about that, and I don't know if that's how big maybe he's supposed to be like a younger gator. I don't know, but I just thought I was like, you think an alligator would be bigger?
Right?
I think it just depends on their age. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think.
I've seen
maybe,
pretty big
maybe they're trying
gators
to
in
correlate
seasons.
how old he would be compared to other Lokis, and that's just how big that gator
I
would
was hoping-
be. I don't know.
They don't get it as big as crocodiles.
Yeah, but they still get bigger than that.
Yeah.
It depends on the breed. They have different breeds like dogs do.
He was baby. He's a baby Loki.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get past like, how do we know he's even a Loki? Like their whole conversation, and then he says something. Well, that kind of makes him sound like a Loki.
Yeah. Well, and
So I saw a TikTok yesterday, and it was Odin, and he was like, "Loki, I have to tell you something." And she goes to alligator Loki, and he's like, "Rah!" It's the caption. The caption says alligator noises, and then goes back to Odin. And he's like, "You're adopted," and it goes back to him. He's like, "Ah!" And it says betrayed alligator noises.
It's much better than normal alligator noise.
What was it? Elf? Where he was his elf moment where he's like, "Oh, I'm not an elf."
I just thought I had dry skin.
They alluded to the fact that Mobius pruned the alligator, Loki, and they was like, "No, I don't remember it."
I pruned a lot of Lokis. Yeah.
You gotta remember that one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, it was for me just like episode 3. To me, this one was just a filler episode. I don't feel like the storytelling was fine. Overall, I have to give that Loki is still the best overall series that they've done. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because Tom Hiddleston to me is probably one of the biggest names to come out of the MCU.
I don't know that it was a filler episode. I think this is where we actually saw the variant Loki reach the same place that the main time stream Loki was when he died.
Yeah, he's progressing pretty fast. Years, like he's being forced into years of stuff. But I did see a meme yesterday or a question on Facebook on. So, if Loki is technically a frost giant, how does he get cold?
Yeah.
Like why? Because the question was,
They both are. Yeah.
was he cold or
He was just
was he just wanting to snuggle?
He was just laying down the moves, man.
Yeah, which is still
With himself.
Yeah.
which is still just as weird as watching Deadpool and Lady Deadpool kiss.
Yeah.
In the comic books, they're the same person.
I mean, here's the thing: is if he hits it, is that masturbation?
Yeah.
So that's actually what your wife said yesterday.
We had a whole conversation about that after episode 3 when they first had their little connection.
It is much more complicated masturbation.
I can see that from Deadpool though, because he talks about that all the time. Like it makes total sense for Deadpool to do that.
Yeah.
So it's just
Self-love.
I still think though that what if the TVA got it all wrong with Sylvie and she's not a Loki at all? What
Yeah.
if she's Enchantress?
Yeah, I still think she is. Even
then-
though they
but then-
said in that moment that they are the same and he knows how to enchant, I still think there might be something different.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously,
She's the only female version.
yeah, she's
I mean,
Yeah.
that's weird.
well that they know of.
I've gone through a lot of them. So.
Yeah, they've definitely gone through a lot. So overall, I really like when old Loki bit it. I was real sad. Like I really enjoyed.
I don't think he's dead. Loki
saw-
survived.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really, I guess, know what happens to him.
I saw
He could-
another
Once they
TikTok.
go into the void, they may go into another void where they're all.
He could have been a piece of rubble.
Yeah.
Someone edited that scene of him raising the city to I Need a Hero. That was fantastic. But I've also seen a theory that he is actually the Loki behind the TVA because we haven't actually seen Kang, so that maybe he's the actual villain of the show because it'd be a weird place to just throw Kang in.
I think that's because people cannot fathom the fact that Marvel might use a TV show.
I still think it is Kang.
Well, and here's the thing: they used after credit scenes to do it. What's the difference? I mean, like,
Yeah. They
Like-
use Thanos in an after scene credit.
yeah. So I mean, they're all about seeding what's happening.
If you really want
mean,
people to think that the Disney Plus shows are important,
Yeah.
they need to be important.
Right.
Your options here are Kang. You somehow tie it to the Eternals. I mean, you already broke time with the what happened in episode 3.
I
or
mean,
2.
I would, WandaVision has, if you don't watch WandaVision, you're not going to have any idea what's going on with Doctor Strange or even Spider-Man.
right.
If you didn't watch Falcon Winter Soldier, you're not going to have any idea when
Well,
new Captain America shows up. You
And
know
Black
what I mean?
Widow was Marvel, and I know we're not to Black Widow yet, but Marvel basically said if you don't watch our Disney Plus series, you're not going to understand
Black Widow.
because of what happens in the end credits of Black Widow.
Yeah.
They basically said, go watch our TV or you're going to be confused.
And they actually had to shoot those backwards because they had Black Widow supposed to come out before all that.
Right.
So her first appearance was supposed to be in Black Widow, not as a second appearance.
Yeah.
Second.
Spoiler alert: that was a small spoiler for Black Widow. We're not there yet.
Well, we're already in
I haven't
spoiler mode
said,
anyways.
I didn't say who it was that appeared.
But there were people that may be watching for Loki and haven't seen Black Widow yet, though. So let's be respectful.
All right. Whatever.
I didn't say who it was.
We didn't say who it was. All I know is that the way that Marvel is, I don't know if there'll ever be another company that can do what Marvel's been able to do for the last 13 years, and just the way that they tie everything back in together. I mean, the only time I think they've ever just basically said, F it, we don't want this to be part of canon, is, of course, in Humans, when they just said, never mind, we got X-Men back.
Well, after episode 4 of S.H.I.E.L.D., but that was also kind of the Inhumans thing because it was all about Inhumans.
Right.
So
I think that those are the only 2 times that Marvel said, this isn't working, we'll let it go for what it has to go for, and then we're just gonna write it off as not canon. But I mean, it's so... I still think it's Kang at the end of the Void. Maybe we won't get a full-fledged Kang. Maybe we'll get one of his leaders or something like that.
Yeah.
And then
Like
an after
Tempest or something like that.
and then an after credit of like Kang watching TV or something.
you got a lot to tie up here in this next episode, though. Mobius going back to the TVA.
Yeah.
Whereas what's she doing?
Ravonna Renslayer.
And then who are they going to meet here at this last?
And how much does she actually know? Because
I think she's going to figure. I think she's going to show up at the big battle. At the
I
end.
think she knows more than the normal
I think
TVA.
she's a general.
I think she knows more than a normal TVA person does, but she doesn't know everything. I think she's kind of in that weird, like...
She may also be, somehow mind wiped.
Yeah.
Where she was pruned or taken for a reason, and there was some kind of relationship there, and then...
Yeah. But, I mean, she is so part and parcel with Kang in the comics. Like,
So when the Void opened, after they enchanted the dog, all I could think of... Do you remember that episode in the X-Men cartoon from the 90s? Where a couple of the characters got stuck out of time in this like castle. There was an episode. It was like an episode. It was Bishop, I believe, that got stuck out of time.
that's about right.
But that's what that looked like to me. It would look like the castle that they were stuck in that was outside of time.
Yeah.
It was in the X-Men cartoon from the 90s.
I don't remember.
So
I will say that castle looks nothing like Chronopolis.
Chronopolis.
So,
That's a
like,
word.
I mean, unless that's just how their take on Chronopolis, I mean, it looks like it could be in Latveria for any,
That would be weird if they introduced Doom in this way.
Secret Wars,
But I don't think they're going to. I mean, it could be the Beyonder.
Molecule Man.
I don't think Molecule Man's a big enough guy to play right now.
Mephisto?
that you did see.
Probably Mephisto.
You did see a devil in the stained glass in I think episode 2.
Well, they were also in like a church.
Yeah, but you don't normally see devils in stained glasses at church. You see angels.
Depends on what part of the Bible that stained glass is telling.
I've never seen one in a church.
Yeah.
Have you been to every church?
Yeah, I have actually.
Every church ever.
all the cathedrals. Yeah.
Overall, I'm excited to see how this ends next week.
Guy went fast.
It did.
Yeah.
It just, now that I'm actually caught up and staying caught up every week,
Yeah.
I'm all like,
I feel like from now till
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, it's gonna be an awkward break.
Well, we get What If.
Yeah, we
get What If.
It's just different. The cartoons have a different feel, or have had a different feel.
I mean,
than
it's
the
not
live
a,
action
and it's not going to feed into the MCU like
it
it's
does.
the same.
So they're
I don't
considered
know.
canon because they're all variants, right?
I think in a way it might because I think it may feed off of the fact that what happened.
Yeah, I think Loki is teeing up What If.
They've already
exactly.
said the what if stuff is canon to
Yeah.
the MCU.
I think it's time variant stuff basically.
Yeah. I do know that characters I don't want to see go away. I want to see Sylvie stay in some form or fashion to the MCU. And for the love, please keep Mobius somewhere along the lines.
He
Even
just
if-
shows up like jet skiing and
well, I
every
mean,
now and then.
right? She's just jet skiing.
Every time there's a lake.
Yes.
It's just a
In the
meme.
shot.
But I
He's just
mean-
in the background jet skiing.
I could actually see somehow they getting him tied to
Like Darcy.
Photon.
Okay.
Rambo? Monica Rambo?
Yeah, Rambo.
Yeah,
like
maybe.
somehow building a sub story of all of these people
Like
that are
Darcy.
getting
He
gathered.
joins
Yeah.
the Darcy Wu X Files show.
Ooh, that would be amazing.
Yes,
So
he's already an investigator.
he's the smoking man.
Maybe.
yes.
Yeah. And then we'll finally get a. Wow.
So we need to have a fan casting where we just keep adding sub characters to our because now we need the 3 geek
We
scientist
need
guys.
we need to actually go pitch Kevin Feige this show.
I think so. I think he's already heard it, but we'll
Yeah.
try.
I'm pretty sure like any possible conception of a show has been
All I know is as they keep introducing more characters, we should take one or two of the characters and add them to our X-Files show.
Yes.
But so now Owen Wilson's character is the old smoking guy.
Yeah.
So
I will say missed
the jet
opportunity.
skis.
Missed opportunity. As many Easter eggs as we saw, they could have dropped an X reference.
I think they did. Like they said that there was a pyramid in there. I didn't see the pyramid, but someone said, and then the
Again,
Golden Gate Bridge.
I don't know if
But those are landmarks from our world. Those
Yeah.
aren't unique to the
Those
X
are from the
universe.
two worst X-Men movies. Like, yeah, we're gonna get rid of those. Thanks.
The Sphinx and Pyramid, I think that still goes back to King, and we'll see.
Because Ramatet. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and a
But
lot
the Golden Gate Bridge totally could be like the worst X-Men movie ever, being like that was just a time variant.
That's a
Thanks.
stretch though, because it's
I will take the stretch and hope. Because Hugh Jackman took a picture with Kevin Feige.
if I had seen like
Literally,
if I had seen the Blackbird,
you know what's
then
gonna, going to happen is Hugh Jackman's going to come into the MCU and not be Wolverine, and
The
that will
world
piss people off.
The world will riot.
He's going to be Doom.
Literally, all they had to do is when they did that baseboard shot is just have Magneto's helmet sitting there.
I will say First Class movie was great. Lazy Gamer. I actually like First Class. I actually thought it was
First
the best
Class is
X-Men
probably
movie.
one of my favorites.
The follow Days of the Future's Past was also great. X-Men 3, the original X-Men 3, it doesn't
Trash.
exist. It's trash.
Nope.
And they used Days of the Future's Past to make sure we don't have to remember that day. And then somehow they went and messed up the next Phoenix storyline as well by giving it to the same dude to also direct it.
Yep.
Not only did he write the first one, but he directed the second one, and it was still trash.
The only ones I'll go back and watch: 1, 2, First Class, Days of Future Past, Logan. Those are the only 5 that I give any.
I don't mind the Wolverine movies at all. Like, I think the Japanese-based one's a little boring. I don't mind the first one, Origins. It doesn't bother me that much.
till Deadpool shows up.
He gets done real fast, so it's fine.
He gets pruned anyway. In Deadpool too.
He gets real dead. But like, I don't mind the X-Men stuff. I mean, Logan to me was a very good movie. Deadpool.
Have you ever gone back and watched it in black and white?
No, but I want
Noir
to.
style.
Yeah,
yeah.
I really like it. Like, I don't know why I like it. I just do.
Yeah.
It's not that different, but I like it.
But there's so many good things about what the MCU is doing, and I think they're just really trying to put some distance between themselves and mutants, so that when they do mutants, people are a little bit
You said
more
doo-doo.
a little bit more distant. Like, there's so much bad stuff that comes with the Fantastic Four and the mutants, but more so the mutants because so much of their canon has been messed up for so long.
Yeah.
So I think when we do get mutants, it's going to be one of those situations. It's just we're not gonna be expecting it. Like, it could be the first sign of a mutant is at the end of Shang-Chi, and it's gonna be Logan fighting in the tournament.
I think we actually got a mutant last night. If you're paying attention,
Who do you think we got?
in the prison, the great big dude, they called him the bear. I think that was Ursa Major.
Bit mutant character.
Huh?
Like a small mutant.
Yeah, I do like the fact that they name dropped a couple of the other, like the when
Russian characters.
Yeah, with
Crimson Dynamo.
yeah.
Well, they're fixing to.
Hold on. Spoiler alert.
We're
for
moving to Black Widow.
We're moving to Black Widow.
Stop if you don't want to listen anymore.
This is your second outro.
If you have not seen Black Widow yet,
I think they're name dropped because Winter Guard 1 comes out. I think this month or next month.
bye, Lazy Gamer.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
So going into Black Widow,
My expectations were mixed.
after Wonder Woman 2, like, I just went in and said, it is what it is at this point.
Yeah.
Like, as long as it's not worse than Wonder Woman 2, I'm okay. My expectations was I enjoyed the movie very much. All I know is when they said, I don't think we have enough gas for that. And then the next thing, okay. And then the next thing you have a helicopter
just
crash to the
flopping
ground. And the whole theater erupts in laughter. I'm all like, Marvel's back.
Yeah.
Because I only hear two major laughters. This guy right here, who, by the way, when we brought this up before the podcast, collapsed onto the floor in laughter again. And another one of our employees, it's just very loud.
Oh my
So-
gosh, it's just such a great edit.
Yeah.
No, it'll be fine. Okay. Come on.
They was just slow too.
And then, like, they get out of the helicopter and, like, they're having, like, a family fight. And you're like, so the movie opens up, you know, basically back in the 80s or 90s.
90s.
95 in
And-
Ohio.
Which is weird because there
There
was no Soviet Union. There hadn't been for like 4 years at this point.
Well, that's,
Yeah, but
that's
the whole idea
that's
was-
the point
It
of
would've been the
there.
remnant.
It was
Yeah.
because the Black Widow program was a hidden program.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I was actually like, what the hell's going on? They're just normal Americans. Like, you're watching through it, and you're like, well, maybe they got captured or whatever, whatnot. And then, like, they get to the plane, and he just flips the thing. I'm like, oh, well, this is about to turn into something I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting.
Yeah.
You know, looking back on it now, I was like, man, you think you would have seen Coulson or somebody there chasing them, but then you realize that they tell you later in the movie that they stole from Hydra. They didn't
Yeah.
actually steal from S.H.I.E.L.D., so that's why you didn't see anybody you know.
So I don't know if they did this on purpose because it got delayed so many times, but I am actually glad it came out after we'd seen some of Loki, because I think we got some time variant stuff in there. Because Red Guardian talks about his glory days fighting Captain America.
And Captain America was in the ice.
Well, one of the characters even was like he wasn't thawed out until 2012.
So remember, though, go
I
back to
think
go back to Captain
I think it's a different Captain America.
Falcon and Winter Soldier. There was they made what's his bucket super soldiers and stuff.
Isaiah.
Yeah.
Isaiah Washington.
Yeah, but that would have been like in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
He said 80s was when he
Yeah,
fought him.
Yeah, he
so
fought
maybe
him-
they tried.
I think we're still
don't know,
saying that there
guys.
might be other Captain Americas
Yeah.
that we don't know yet. I think that's what that alludes to, because he was pretty adamant about the fact that he had fought him.
Yeah, because, I mean, he even asked, did he ever talk about me?
He talks.
Yeah.
He said not
Yeah.
so much as an adversary, but as a
Equal.
as a
Yeah, I think he was talking about
colleague.
Steve the way he would talk to Nat about it.
What if he fought Captain America when Captain America was returning the stuff to Tony Stark, or when he returned back?
That would have
It's
been the
possible,
'70s, though.
But I don't. I still don't think he Captain America went after he went
Yeah,
back.
but Captain America, maybe that's the thing. Maybe he went back and relived the time. Maybe
did.
he still was acting as Captain America throughout time on secret missions, like he was a secret Avenger.
It's possible, but that's still a variant, which is still related to Loki.
And why didn't the TVA go after him?
They let it happen. I think that's because they don't actually have. They say those things because they really don't have control over
Or
everything.
maybe they're just trying to pick and choose what they're afraid of,
They pick and choose what they.
and they're always afraid of Loki's.
And I think the other thing you say too is like, why go after something like that? Because then you say like the Black Widows. They were like, we don't go after Avengers because then everybody
it's
knows.
like
Kind of target.
it's like kicking the hornet's nest. You're going to come
Yeah,
after
so
us.
why would they go after the Avengers?
Yeah.
So maybe what he's talking about is maybe he's fought Steve Rogers, but he fought a form of Steve Rogers that no one knew was still around until he handed his shield off to Falcon.
Yeah.
Because he did go back and relive his life.
Right. That's still.
And I just really doubt that Steve Rogers and all that Steve Rogers is would
Would
really
just lay
sit on
down
the
and do nothing.
sideline and do nothing for the rest of his life to save people.
Yeah.
It's not who he is.
Yeah.
Like, and Peggy wouldn't allow that either. I mean, she worked for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Like, they would find a way to put Steve to work.
Yeah, especially if we're fighting a Cold War against a big baddie. Yeah.
So maybe he was on a mission, and maybe that's one of the what ifs we see.
And that's
Maybe-
why he got busted. And maybe he lost or something. That's why he got busted to that mission,
Yeah.
that undercover mission.
So I think there's a lot more coming from. I have never thought that Chris Evans was done with Captain America. I just thought he was done with the idea of being part of the big storyline.
Yeah.
Because there's still 50 plus years they can explore without having to tie him to the movies.
I don't know how any of these guys could say they're done being these. Like that'd be so much fun to be a superhero like that.
Well, I did see Kevin Feige say they are done with long-term contracts.
Yeah. That was out yesterday.
Yeah, he said yesterday they are done with long-term contracts. I think that's due to the just.
I think that's more because they don't want actors that they could get to do things.
Yeah, well, and those contracts balloon
Yeah.
so bad, too. I mean,
Well, but I mean, was it Age of Ultron? Like, Robert Downey Jr. had to go fight for everybody else to get a pay raise because he was the only one making any significant amount of money.
yeah.
So he had to kind of hold out and say, you need to pay everybody else better.
Which is funny because he still made like 3 times more than everybody else, but they all do get more money.
Yeah, I mean, what's the difference in 25 and 75 million? It's fine.
Yeah. Well, there was a big kerfuffle that he removed all the other Marvel actors from his Instagram account. Or he
that
did.
Robert Downey Jr. did?
But the whole thing is like the reality is he's moving his Instagram to his like nonprofit
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. I think it's just clickbait.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, his father passed away here recently, so that's pretty sad too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to, like, I really like the new Black Widow. I'm going to just declare she's the new Black Widow. She's taking over.
She's the new something. I don't know if that's going to be her name.
Like the way they wrote her humor was just like,
and she's
God,
like
when
that in
she
other
started
movies,
talking
too.
about the organs coming, like why they can't have children. You're like, wow, she just.
they go up and they pull them out.
Just they cut
And he's
them
like,
out.
please stop being so scientific. And he's like, wait, I was about to get to the fallopian tubes.
Like, and just talking about the vest and just, which I didn't like.
I
The
felt like
vest,
that was a Rob Liefeld reference.
the vest, no, the vest didn't even click. She has it in Infinity War.
Yeah.
That's the vest from
And
Infinity
that's
War.
why she's blonde. Is
Yep.
Well,
Well, she
she's
thought
on the
about
right,
dyeing her hair
too.
blonde before she went and saw her sister.
right, but they never did explain how she got away from.
And I think I was talking to
Thunderbolt.
my kids last night on the way home. I said, "There's still so many more questions." Somehow, 2 weeks later, she's not with Ross anymore. Like, what the
Yeah,
crap?
she was there, and then she's not. And now she's free to go save the Avengers.
Yeah,
So I'm confused about that. Maybe they gave her a pardon because she did. I do think that
there's something more there. We're going to see later. I
Yeah.
think.
I do think that this was definitely an afterthought movie because it takes place right after Civil War, and Civil War happened how many years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I understand that they close scened it with giving us the new Black Widow or whatever she's going to be to the series. By the way, her shirt top looked like a giant sock. I don't know if y'all noticed that, but like just like a weird giant sock. But I think
at the end of the movie?
the end scene, yeah.
I was all, what?
They didn't kill anybody off really, except for one person. So every one of these people has a chance to return, which is great because maybe we can get a Disney Plus show.
Yeah, you've got Taskmaster
Like
still
I
coming.
said, they mirror what's happening in the comics, and Winter Guard 1 comes out within a month or two.
Well, they might. I mean, they might bring something like the Winter Guard out. I mean, the Black Widow organization is still in task. We've learned that the way Marvel describes women with weapons is we should just watch out because they're all deadly killers.
Well, we know the Black Panther TV series is about the guards.
Yeah,
women.
the Guard.
So
So I mean, I could definitely see
Darren,
them taking. I mean, we know David Harbour's not afraid of doing.
he said he wants the whole Winter Guard. He wants to make it.
He was awesome. He was my favorite part of
he
the
was
whole
pretty
movie.
I don't know. Yelena was like. I really felt like Scarlett Johansson took a backseat to the rest of the cast
Oh yeah.
because the rest of the cast was so good. The only thing I had as a gripe after really thinking about the movie
I got like a
is the mind control part of Yelena. I don't feel like we got enough of a sample what she was like when she was mind controlled
yeah.
to when she was set free. Like, I mean, it was just
I think that's something they can
Immediate.
develop. They can develop more though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they can give us more of that
It
in another series.
definitely had like communist Fantastic Four vibes.
yeah. I mean, everything about the movie. I mean, I'd give it 2 thumbs up when it comes to watching it. I enjoyed it. I laughed through it. I felt bad when I was supposed to feel bad. They did like when they were sitting at the table having their fight. Like we knew that was coming, and it was still great. The betrayal. We knew that someone was betraying. I actually thought maybe she was still under mind control. You find out it wasn't that at all.
Yeah.
I really, really needed Marvel to just go deep and bring Dom in because of all the family stuff.
Yes.
I'll be honest. Taskmaster did not play as heavy as I thought
No,
Yeah,
and
he
I
didn't.
mean
they were going to.
she didn't.
She didn't. Yeah, and I totally called it from the beginning. So I'm watching the opening credits, and it has Olga Kurylenko's name in the credits. And I know her from, like, she was in Quantum of Solace and stuff, the actress that played Taskmaster. I'm like, she hasn't been in any of the trailers.
Yeah.
And she's a decent actor. Like, you would have seen her.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I know why.
But they
So
did.
that-
like,
they
I
did
called
leave
it.
her character open to become an assassin. Someone like
And open, like Taskmaster is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like she's now
merc.
going to become a free agent,
Yeah.
or she could be controlled by the Black Widows.
She's now Deadpool.
Because I think what you see with the Black Widows now in the future is you're going to see them become basically heroes for like hitman for hire.
Yeah.
That did throw me off a little bit. Not that I care that they gender bent the character, but more so when you didn't know and the helmet was on, the body language read like a dude. The way
Yeah, but she matched whatever she had to match.
when fighting, but when just walking
And to me, it was
around-
robotic. Her
Yeah.
entire movement was robotic. Like maybe her body's just.
Do they
more-
have they ever in the comics? Tony, how does Tony Masterson have that ability? Is he a mutant, or was it? Has it ever said how he has that,
It's a power, but I don't.
or is it just he's just that skilled? That's just what he's able to do.
I don't know. All I know is I'm pretty sure it was through technology that she could do what she could
It's
do.
like
Right. She
it's
had a
like
chip.
it's like a photographic memory that only applies to fighting.
I know what his
styles.
power is. How did he get it? That's what I'm saying in the comics.
Maybe it's just a photographic memory thing. Maybe that's all it is. It's not really a
Yeah.
power. It's just that's what he's attuned to doing.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the episode of Ultimate Spider-Man that had Deadpool in it and they're fighting Taskmaster?
And he can't. Well, there was always a thing that Taskmaster could never read Deadpool because he's freaking crazy.
It's just a funny episode.
He's
It's
freaking
hilarious for a kid's show.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Trying to make Deadpool kid appropriate is very funny.
Well, I think that the thing about it is he has to be able to think like that person does.
And if
Right.
that person's crazy and random,
He has no
can't-
idea what's
he
going
can't
on.
do it, Yeah.
Yeah, he can't think of what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
so Screech walked up and fight him like he did in Saved by the Bell. He would get confused with the whole hand over the.
I can't do it anymore. Hold on.
Yeah, I think that
I don't bend like that anymore.
God, that hurts.
yeah, my shoulder.
something popped.
How did you get that injury? I was imitating Screech from Saved by the Bell.
Still, one of my favorite parts is her making fun of her pose.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Such a
over and
poser.
over.
And then when she does it, she's like,
Feels gross.
disgusting.
Disgusting.
and it was like Yelena's fighting style is not as like she's a little heavier handed
Yeah,
than Natasha is, right? She's not
it's not as finesse.
flippy and I mean she does some of it a little bit, but she's definitely more just punchy.
Yeah,
I know when on the bridge when Black Widow does her trademark like wrap you up and throw you down with my legs, and she
does it
immediately
right back
does
to
it
her.
right back to her.
Yeah.
She's like, "What the hell?"
yeah,
Because that's like her trademark thing.
yeah.
Man, the humor was great. The bad guy I actually thought was well done for someone who didn't really have any powers, and
Another one and done bad guy.
another one and done bad guy. But I
But he
don't-
didn't deserve to be a, big baddie. I mean, he just had.
And it doesn't mean that he won't be back when they go back, because I mean they did a lot of stuff talking about.
Well,
Clinton
Kevin Feige's
Barton.
already come out and said they're doing more prequel movies. So.
Well, but they've done a lot about Clinton Barton and setting her free. I mean, now we're learning that Budapest was all about setting Black Widow free.
Budapest.
And that goes all the way back
Shit,
to the
that's
first
shit.
Avengers movie.
yeah,
I mean, the first Avengers movie, when they're like, this just reminds me of that. Like, we have two different memories of how that worked.
yeah.
Yeah.
because one of them's a variant.
And I think we'll see some of that in Hawkeye, the TV show.
I think Yelena's. I mean, I think she is the person.
I think she's the antagonist for
yeah,
Hawkeye.
she is
Yeah,
hunting him
and so-
for the government, which is weird.
Well, we don't know if she's for the government.
I've got a theory
I don't
for
know who she's
that.
with.
Well, John Walker works for her too now.
yeah, but we don't know we don't know who she works for.
I think she's putting together Secret Avengers.
I think she's putting together the West Coast Avengers.
Dark Avengers.
Because we got John, he hasn't had a scene with her, but White Vision now exists in the
yeah, we have White
continuity.
Vision. Yeah,
And I think that Hawkeye, I think she's already approached Hawkeye, and he said no because he wants to be with his family. And I think she is getting the new Black Widow chick to. I think she's setting it up to drag him back into the.
So has
superhero
she
game.
met with Rhodey yet?
Well, we'll know soon when we see
Armor
Armor
Wars.
Wars and
Yeah.
Riri.
Yeah.
Because I think
will
those are
s-
both next year.
I mean, we also got Kid Loki. Again, another precursor to Young Avengers and Runaways and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So they just keep giving us more characters that are going to be the next generation. And all of a sudden, I was really worried about Phase 4.
Yeah.
Like, I was super worried that there just
Like,
wasn't...
what are they going to do after Thanos?
Like, how were they... Because everybody's retiring, and everybody's
Yeah.
dying, and everybody's quitting, except for Thor. And, like, how are they going to... Like, all of a sudden, I'm excited again. Like, Black Widow comes out. I'm excited. The Disney Plus shows come out, and they show all these new characters, and I'm all like, I'm good to go. I'm ready.
And a lot of this is they may just leave things open just so they have it as a toolbox later when they
Right.
decide where they want to go, right?
I think when they
just
say
don't-
there's going to be more prequels, we've seen Oleski talking about, or Red Guardian talking about stuff that happened in the past. I think, well, now we want to know what happened, so we may see some kind of Red Guardian thing happening. I mean, I think we're going to see a lot more of these characters doing stuff in the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, they brought back Batrick, whatever his name
Batroc,
is.
yeah.
I mean, they brought
The
him
Leaper.
back for a time.
Yeah,
We know that Sharon Carter's not gone yet.
yeah,
I think that they've decided that they're going to have their big movies, and then they're going to have their 6-hour movies.
Yeah.
And that I think that David Harbour's a 6-hour movie. I
Yeah.
think they go through and explore some of his past. Maybe they get Chris Evans to come back just long enough for that fight to give maybe what could be a prequel to something for a prequel movie for him, for why he was sitting around doing nothing for 50 years.
Yeah.
And there's just so much I'm excited for after Black Widow has, the Shang-Chi new trailer was great. I'm
so excited for Shang-Chi.
The Mortal Kombat tournament style of things. But Black Widow truly got kicked off Phase 4 for the movies.
Yeah.
With a bang. I mean, literally a helicopter crash and a lot of explosions and, essentially a station crash to the ground and lots of crazy adventure action. And like when they were walking up and like, hey, you guys okay? And she's like, obviously I'm hurt. Obviously I'm injured. And I'm all like, that's great.
I just got out of prison and I've got a lot of energy. Please don't. They're all taking shots.
Right before the Taskmaster's like, I just have so much energy. I just want to break something. And she's just like,
There you go.
You can break that. Yeah.
there was so many good jokes, so much good story. I hope that this isn't the end of what we see a lot of these characters. I hope that Marvel goes back and gives them more story.
I think they will.
Mind-controlled pigs alone deserve their own what-if show.
Yeah. You don't see the resemblance?
Good stuff.
You named a pig after me?
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Unknown Comics Podcast. We'll be back next week for more nerdy talk and news. Have a great week.
Bye.